Now at 5 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the latest updates on the Salvation Army's Life Enrichment Center.
The Biden administration has announced waiving more than 20 federal laws to allow construction of a wall along the southern border.
And strong storms moved through northern part of the state Wednesday.
Here in the Crossroads, we had some great rain. And we'll have cooler weather. There's the rain as it came through our area. It was beautiful. Everybody got about 2 inches of rain, and now the heavy stuff is gone. So I've got great news for the weekend. It's going to be cloudy, clearing, and cooler as well. We'll have that coming up.
Hundreds of migrants continue to make their way across the border despite increased security. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good Thursday afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm James Munoz.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
The Victoria area was under a thunderstorm warning around 8:15 today. This is a tree down at Loma Vista and Laurent. There it is. I saw about 4 of these today. You can always send your photos and videos to staff at crossroadstoday.com. Maclovio Perez joins us now. Mac, how much rain did we get?
Officially out at Riverside Park, we got 1.6. But many areas of the city, over 2 inches of rain. This was a wonderful thing. We needed it badly after that brutal summer. All the heavy stuff is actually down in the Rio Grande Valley right about now. That's where the front is located. And now you're probably wondering, okay, it's not really cool just yet. Well, that's going to be coming. And the better news is that the light rain that we have now is going to be clearing up tonight. And so for your Friday, things are going to be looking much better. As a matter of fact, we're going to clear out just in time for football Friday night. All the stormy weather will be gone, and we've got a spectacular weekend, one we've been waiting for a long time. I'll have your complete weather forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Mac, thank you. An 18-wheeler and trailer overturned due to high winds Thursday morning on U.S. Highway 59 just north of travel centers near Ganado. Southbound lanes were closed off while crews dealt with the overturned 18-wheeler.
A line of storms moved through parts of the state Wednesday. The storms brought damaging winds and heavy rains to North Texas. The winds were the main threat, but there was also some hail. A flood watch is in effect for areas northeast of Dallas. Rainfall levels are expected to average from 2 to 4 inches across the northern part of Texas. 2 people are hurt at Toyota Stadium in Frisco during Wednesday night's severe weather ahead of the FC Dallas soccer game. They were hurt. The game was postponed before it could start. WFAA reports one of the people hurt was an 8-year-old child transported to the hospital. The child's injuries are not life-threatening. One FC Dallas fan shared on social media he was hurt after he was hit by a piece of the stadium sign.
The city of Victoria continues to work with the Salvation Army on its newest add-on. The Salvation Army's Life Enrichment Center continues with construction at 1302 North Lewis Street. With a new ceiling, walls, and air conditioners, the commanding officer, Captain Kenny Jones, says the facility should be finished by November 1st. Jones says the center will take an interesting route in helping the community.
We're handling not just the homeless population, but those that are less fortunate and those that may be a lower income. We're going to be offering programs that are not necessarily commonality throughout this community.
The center will act as more than a shelter. People in need will gain access to showers, a mail center, laundry services, and job training services as well. The main focus for the facility is to get those in need back in the workforce and creating income.
New video captured a large group of migrants rushing the U.S.-Mexico border.
It comes as many continue to arrive outside El Paso despite increased security.
Caught on camera the moment migrants made a run to the border. You can hear people cheering, whistling, and celebrating that they can see their end goal in sight, El Paso. You can hear migrants chanting, "We are united," and one migrant telling the cameras, quote, "We're not doing anything to you," end quote. Francisco Guarduño is the migration delegate on the Mexican side of the border, and he says migrants making their way to the southern border will always be an issue if the United States continue to allow their open border policy.
As long as the United States continues to open the doors of its border and exceptionally allow passage to some groups, families, minors, vulnerable people, it is a call for more migrants to come.
Over the last couple of weeks, migrants have been riding on top of freight trains from central to northern Mexico as they make their way to the southern border. Migrants riding the train says it's a dangerous trek.
Sí, nos pasó un problema con un familiar que veníamos, tuvo un accidente en el tren, un poco fuerte, casi pierde la vida, pero ya, gloria a Dios, lo están atendiendo.
En el tren.
It's hard, but thank God we're here, and for everyone else that's making their way, I wish them all the best. May God bless them.
The Biden administration will waive more than 24 laws for construction on the border wall. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said DHS had concluded bypassing the laws was necessary. He referred to the area in the Rio Grande Valley as an area of, quote, high illegal entry, unquote. Border Patrol reported nearly 300,000 encounters in that area between last October and August. Construction of the barrier will be paid through by a 2019 appropriations bill, which is specifically for that purpose.
The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't, they wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that.
This week, senior U.S. leaders will meet with their Mexican counterparts in Mexico City for their yearly security talks.
Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan the QR code on your screen to participate. What are your thoughts on the Biden administration's decision about the border wall today? You strongly support it, somewhat support it, you're neutral, you somewhat oppose it, or you're strongly opposed to it? We want to know. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. We'll have an update on 25 News Now at 6. A federal appeals court will review the legality of those floating border barriers in the Rio Grande. It's unclear when it will issue a final ruling on the case after oral arguments today. For now, it's allowing the state to keep the buoys there with an injunction. The Department of Justice says the floating buoys illegally block navigable waters. Texas argues that stretch of the Rio Grande isn't even passable. Ignacio Zaragoza was born in Goliad in 1829, almost 200 years later, and the Zaragoza Society is keeping his story alive.
That's right. Maclovio Perez joins us now with one of our interviews to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month. Mac.
Well, thank you very much. I'm joined by Sherry Edison Garcia, who's the president of the Zaragoza Society of Goliad. I have met her before at other functions, generally Cinco de Mayo, but the story of Ignacio Zaragoza is a North American story of biblical proportions. Why is he important to Goliad, Sherry?
He was born in Goliad, so he's considered the son of Goliad. He was a great military leader. Because of his military prowess, I guess, we honor him as a hero.
Well, for those of you who don't know, he was the general who led the Mexican army to defeat the French on Cinco de Mayo. So that was, it was a battle. I mean, it didn't end the French occupation, but it did say a lot about North America and North America's interest in being independent of European forces. So there's a picture of him when he was a middle-aged man, and then as an older man. He worked very hard with President Benito Juarez to rid themselves of the French occupation, but he died very soon after the Cinco de Mayo battle because of cholera. So it was unfortunate that we didn't have to have him here. We didn't keep him here as long. But in Goliad, there's a little house. Tell us about the house, Sherry.
This is the birthplace of General Zaragoza. It's owned by the state park, and just about 2 years ago, they did recently remodel the inside of it. It is really full of interesting information. Please stop by when you get a chance. So
there you have annual, or actually multi-year ceremonies all the time.
Our ceremonies are usually held at the statue, which is right in the Zaragoza Plaza, which is next door to the birthplace.
Now, this is at what some of you might call the fort. La Bahia.
Presidio La Bahia.
Presidio La Bahia, right there in Goliad. It's on the main road going south. and you're all invited to go by there. But the Zaragoza Society has been together for what, 80 years?
79 years. Next year will be our 80th anniversary.
Are there any descendants of Zaragoza left?
Not that we've had some that have come, and they usually try to show up, but there's nobody that actually lives in Goliad anymore.
But they do come back.
But they
for
do.
this
We've had them come back for our annual
ceremony.
And descendants of our original founders of the organization as well.
And I know that you give out awards on behalf of Zaragoza.
Saturday, November 4th, we will hold our ZECA banquet, Zaragoza Education and Community Service Awards. We take nominations from the area in the categories of law enforcement, first responder, community service. You can check our Facebook page for more information.
I've done a lot of research on this because I wrote a documentary on it some years ago. And the one fact that you now corroborate with me is that had the French stayed powerful with the Napoleon support, they would have supported the U.S. Confederacy.
Very true.
That's a fact. They were supporting the Confederacy by buying their cotton. So if that had gone on, it would have had a tremendous effect on the U.S. Civil War. So when the Civil War ended, the Union troops came down to the border, and that's when everything sort of ended with Napoleon trying to establish Mexico as a colony, which is what that attempt to do. So when I said earlier, I said a North American hero, I think we can say that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So Zaragoza, whenever Cinco de Mayo or whatever, consider a native-born Goliad, Tejano, went and became a great general that affected the outcome of North America when you consider the implications of the French, the Mexico, and the United States as well. Sherry, good to see you again.
You too, my Claudio.
Let me know when the next party happens.
Oh, November 4th.
Okay, we'll be there. James, Karina, back to you.
Thank you, Mac. At crossroadstoday.com, you can read the Texas Tribune article about driverless cars multiplying on our state roads. That story's under Top Stories. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, a Russian missile hit a grocery store and cafe in Ukraine's east, killing more than 50 people Thursday.
Also ahead, 2 suspects face several charges after a shooting in Massachusetts Wednesday. Civilians were killed in a Russian rocket strike on a Ukrainian village store and cafe in the eastern part of the country, and one of the deadliest attacks in recent months. Thursday's attack came as Ukrainian President Zelensky attended a summit of around 50 European leaders in Spain to gather support from the country's allies. Zelensky denounced the attack as a brutal Russian crime and an act of terrorism, and urged Western allies to help strengthen Ukraine's air defenses. In Massachusetts, a pregnant woman lost her baby. She was hit by a stray bullet. Two men face murder charges in the case for a gunfight Wednesday in Holyoke, Massachusetts. One of the bullets hit the woman who was on a public bus. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Her baby was delivered but later died. 22-year-old Alejandro Ramos and 30-year-old John Luis Sanchez are in custody.
Thousands of Kaiser permanent workers took to picket lines in multiple states Wednesday. The unions, which represent 75,000 of the health system's employees nationally, approved a strike for 3 days in California, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. Kaiser issued a statement saying while no contract deal was reached, there were tentative agreements on several unspecified issues. The union says no further talks are scheduled right now and the strike remains in effect. Today is National Depression Screening Day, a good time to prioritize your mental health and get screened.
New research is shining light on the importance of diagnosing this mental health condition.
It's one of the leading causes of death in the U.S. More people died from suicide last year than any other year on record, according to provisional data.
One of the key aspects of preventing suicide is being able to identify individuals who are most vulnerable to attempting suicide.
That's why Craig Bryan and his colleagues at the Ohio State College of Medicine and Wesleyan University started studying patient screening methods at primary care clinics. The researchers believe traditional screening for suicidal thoughts would be most effective at identifying which patients were most likely to attempt suicide. But that wasn't what they found.
The key finding was that the most effective way to identify patients who would eventually attempt suicide was to screen them for depression.
The researchers found that screening for depression correctly identified more patients who would go on to attempt suicide than traditional suicide screening.
Primary care healthcare providers should really be focusing on identifying patients who have depression, and then that might serve as a gateway for determining who might need additional treatment and intervention to prevent suicide.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
And the crisis lifeline is 988. Prepare to see the last solar eclipse next Saturday. Another one won't happen until 2046.
Ooh.
It's called the Ring of Fire because it's when the moon is in front of the sun. That creates a circle of light with darkness in the middle. NASA says all continental states, including Alaska, can see it. It'll start just after noon Eastern time, October 14th, so that's 11 o'clock our time, and last a few minutes in each location. You can get certified eclipse glasses or camera and telescope lenses to protect your eyes. Another option is to watch it streaming on NASA's website. Safest option there, I think. Now you can see the Ring of Fire in Victoria. Read more about the solar eclipse. Meteorologist Parker Cox has a great story there. Again, next Saturday, read this article on crossroadstoday.com. Mac?
Thank you very much. That's, of course, the 14th, so next weekend, all right? Right now, look at this. I haven't said this in a long time. It's 74 degrees right about now. The winds are gentle out of the north, but that's not the big news. The big news, when this wind kicks in at about 15, 20 miles an hour, that's when you're going to start feeling the cooler weather. Our high temperature today, well, of course, it was affected by the rain, only got up to 83 this morning. But now we've got some very pleasant weather coming up for the weekend. I'll have all that coming up in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. Busy day in the weather office. A busy day for you, I'm sure. And it was beautiful rain. That's what I say, because we were so far below our average rainfall that we needed that. Obviously, we didn't need any damage, but the line came through very rapidly this morning, right at about 8 o'clock. As you can see, there's Victoria right about there. So the rain is ending, and now the cloud deck is going to start basically hanging out for a little bit. But it'll be gone by tomorrow. That's the good news. So we did go severe there for about 30 minutes early this morning when the big line passed through. But now all the heavy stuff is all the way down in the Rio Grande Valley, where they're getting the stormy weather. They're even getting some rain out in Laredo as well. This map shows us the accumulations. And basically, if you see green, that's about an inch, up to an inch. And if you see blue, that's 2 inches. And if you see purples, well, that's 3 inch. But we didn't get any purples that I can see in our area. You can see some people got a good solid 3 inches of rain. I had a lady called me from the east side of the city at Cimarron, and they had 2 solid inches right there. So it was, shall we say, a long-awaited rainfall that we needed for all of our area. So as the front came through, what we have now, of course, is what we're waiting for is the cooler, drier air. So that's kind of a secondary front that's going to be rolling through our area, and that'll be here by tomorrow morning. And after tomorrow morning, you'll really feel a nice north wind blowing through the area, and that's really going to clear us up. Now tomorrow may start rather overcast, but it's not a big problem. Temperatures will finally moderate. Yes, sirree. These are the observed highs, as you can see, only in the 80s and even 83 up north in Dallas. Forecast highs for tomorrow, well, we're still one more day in the 80s. That's your Friday, but by Saturday we'll be in the 70s. So that's the good news. We're waiting for the cooler, drier air to come in. So front number 1 blew through here this morning. And then front number 2 is coming in. That will be by Saturday morning, when you'll really feel the drier air rolling in. Looking for nice skies, a few clouds here and there, but generally speaking, it's going to feel like fall. You're going to get out there into the pumpkin patch, I guarantee you, because it's going to feel so good in the mid-70s. And of course, this is a major winter storm already blowing through much of Canada. High pressure will keep us on the nice side, and then early next week, we're going to start getting back some of that moisture, cloud cover, and light rain. So, you know, light rain is okay. It's the stormy weather that we're concerned with. We're looking at a low of 72 tonight in the Port Lavaca area, getting up to 86. We're looking for showers or clouds, really. If any rain occurs, it'll be very light, and then going partly cloudy by the afternoon. Inland areas, we're going 70 tonight in Cuero, getting up to 84. Still a little bit of cloud cover for your Friday morning, but by Friday evening, I think things will be looking much nicer. So what do we expect? Boy, I haven't used the word cooler and drier in a long time. We've got a 20% chance that's the early morning on Friday. Then it clears up. Saturday is going to go partly cloudy. Very comfortable. North winds will be a little breezy, but they will be bringing us the cooler weather and the lower humidities. And then by the time we get to Monday, the Gulf air starts rolling back in. And this is very light garden variety, light rain, as temperatures slowly get back into the mid 80s. But I don't see any 90s in there. That's good. That's your 7-day forecast. We want to remind everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. James, Karina, back to you.
Mac, thank you so much. Coming up next, we'll take a look at your stocks, plus home affordability now at its lowest level in decades.
Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow falling 10 points, the S&P 500 down 6 points, and the Nasdaq loses 17 points. Oil down $1.91, closing at $82.31 a barrel. Today, a new report shows U.S. mortgage rates climbed to 7.49% this week, up from last week's 7.31%. One chief economist says the jump is due to several factors, including shifts in inflation, the job market, and uncertainty about the Federal Reserve's next move. The central bank has indicated it may keep rates higher for longer due to stubborn inflation. Higher rates, along with rising home prices, are making for a 20% drop in the pace of home sales compared to this time last year.
A university educating the deaf and hard of hearing has debuted a first-of-its-kind football helmet. Gallaudet University teamed up with AT&T to create a 5G helmet to visually communicate plays. Coaches on the sideline select the play from a tablet. The quarterback will then receive it in augmented reality on the digital display within the visor of the helmet. Players will use the new helmets for the first time Saturday against Hilbert College. Gallaudet has a history of innovation. The school says it invented the modern-day huddle in 1894.
Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, a new report shows which cities are the largest hotspots for retirement, including 3 right here in the Lone Star State. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, the breaking news: President Biden to build more of the border wall after campaigning against it. How does the White House explain this? In New York City tonight, the news coming in that unprovoked deadly attack at a bus stop, and the plane coming down, hitting the runway with no landing gear. You'll see it next.
Retire in is Austin. A new report by Moody's Analytics showed a growing number of retirees are choosing to spend their golden years in the state's capital. Between 2010 and 2020, the population of adults over 64 years old doubled. Austin also has a lower cost of living compared to larger cities. Other U.S. cities gaining popularity amongst older adults include Houston, Atlanta, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and Boise, Idaho. Dallas was also trending with senior Americans. And Victoria remains Texas's best kept secret.
I like that.
Yeah, they don't, except when they get there, they got to pay the property values, which are very, very high. So this would be a better secret. Well, the rain was great, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. It was, the heavy stuff is gone. Whatever we get tonight and tomorrow will be fairly light to moderate rain. And then we are expecting the cooler, drier air to roll in sometime Friday night into Saturday. Saturday, Sunday is going to be spectacular. In the mid-70s and lower humidity, a little bit of a cool, brisk north wind, but we don't see any real problems coming for you this weekend.
And you take full responsibility for all this rain.
Thank
right?
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us.
Glad to help
we
all
hope
of you.
to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6.
Guys.
That's right. All right. Well, you already know World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.